It's so crazy that it might just work. That's what two Ohio women figured when they tried to reenact this crazy scene from the 1989 movie, Weekend at Bernie's. If you're not familiar with the movie, here's a brief summary. Two financial employees were planning to meet with the company's CEO named Bernie. However, just before they arrive, Bernie was taken out by a hitman. By the time the two employees discover his body, guests start arriving for a party that Bernie hosts every weekend. Fearing they'll get blamed for his death, the men prop up his body and pretend he is still alive. Guests at the party are having such a good time they don't even notice. The plan works so well that the two men decide to just enjoy the luxurious house for the weekend. And while it seems inconceivable that anyone would actually try this, two women in the small Ohio town of Ashtabula decided to give it a shot. The women, aged 55 and 66, both lived in the same house as an 80-year-old man. One of the women was said to be in a relationship with the man for about 8 years. Sometime later, the other woman moved in. The man eventually passed away. But instead of reporting his death, the women did the unthinkable. They schemed a way to get money from his bank account. In the past, the bank would allow them to access his account as long as they were accompanied by him. So they figured they would just place his dead body in his car and drive him to the bank. But since one of the women was in a wheelchair, they needed help getting him in the car. So they called a male friend to help them place the body in the passenger seat. They then drove his lifeless body to the bank. According to police, he was propped up in the passenger seat so that the teller could see him. They then withdrew nearly $1,000 from his account. After leaving the bank, police said the women then dropped off the corpse at the Ashtabula County Medical Center emergency room. But they left without identifying the man or themselves. A few hours later, one of the women contacted the medical center and gave them some information about the deceased man. When officers went to the man's residence and interviewed the women, they said he had died there at his home. When asked why she didn't call police, one of the women said, "I just figured I would go to the bank and then to the hospital and drop him off. I just forgot to leave his name." Well, that sounds about as callous as you could get. When the man's family heard he had died before they went to the bank, they were rightly outraged. They said they had trusted the women to take care of him. You'll notice that the women did get the money from the bank rather easily. But they aroused suspicion after they simply left his body at the medical center. Had they brought him back home and reported the death sometime later, they may have actually gotten away with it. Fortunately, they weren't that smart. The Ashtabula city solicitor summed it up this way: "It's a very sad commentary on how desperate these two must have been, for whatever reason they were doing this. He deserves to be remembered and honored as the person he was, and not just the subject of this crazy incident." The two women were taken into custody and charged with gross abuse of a corpse. They were sent to the Ashtabula jail. Bond for each woman was set at $5,000. Driving drunk is clearly irresponsible and against the law. Filming yourself while driving under the influence only adds to the stupidity. And as one man in Ohio discovered, when you post that video on Facebook, there will be consequences. That's because even your Facebook friends won't support such foolish conduct. The man posted the clip on his Facebook page with no privacy settings. That means anyone could watch it. In the video, he could be seen drinking alcohol while driving. He was also using his phone to stream his actions on Facebook. His shocking conduct caused one Facebook user to post the message, "Dude, really?" The driver then replied, "I am a good driver, don't worry." To prove his point, he showed them that he was driving with one finger on the steering wheel while he was typing on Facebook. As one officer put it, "He's got his hands full when he's trying to drive. He's drinking, and he's paying attention to his phone." We are very fortunate this didn't end with some type of tragedy. Deputies eventually tracked the suspect's car down and pulled him over. His girlfriend tried to defend him by claiming he was really smart. She said he was just going through problems that were too much for him to handle. In addition, his family said people shouldn't be quick to judge him. We have no idea what type of problems he was dealing with. However, his supporters also need to realize that had the cops not stopped him, he would have possibly been dealing with far more serious problems. It was also revealed that the man has faced charges of impaired driving in previous years. The suspect pleaded not guilty in municipal court on 5 misdemeanor charges, including operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs and having an open container in a vehicle. Police said his Facebook post would be used as evidence. The Franklin County Sheriff said, "There's no privacy issues going on here. He posted, he confessed, and he gave us the evidence." You've probably seen signs like these on the front door of a home. In most cases, they're used to issue a friendly welcome to a guest. They also can show the sense of humor of the occupants. And sometimes the message can be quite silly. But one West Virginia homeowner took her message a bit too far. Deputies from the sheriff's department had arrived at the home to follow up on a complaint of joyriding. Joyriding is when someone is driving or riding in a stolen vehicle with no particular goal other than the thrill of doing so. Well, when deputies approached the front door, a very unusual sign caught their attention. Just imagine being a police officer and seeing a sign like this on a front door. "Due to snitches, everyone entering my home is subject to being searched. All cell phones and drinks will be left outside. If you're not a snitch, it won't offend you if I search you." Well, this clearly goes beyond someone having a sense of humor. It sounds more like the person is admitting to illegal activities inside their home. But before asking about the bright pink sign taped to the door, officers arrested a 22-year-old female for the joyriding offense. Once that matter was settled, they questioned the homeowner about the sign. Police then got consent to search the residence. The deputies found quantities of heroin, methamphetamine and other unknown substances that were believed to be narcotics. They then arrested the 38-year-old homeowner and charged her with possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver. So here we have a woman who warned potential snitches to stay away. Yet she wound up snitching on herself. Certainly one could make the case that her joyriding friend was the one who brought the police to the house. But it was her ridiculous sign that got her busted. As the sheriff stated, if someone posts a sign on their front door about searching snitches, it's a pretty safe bet that there are illegal drugs being sold out of that location. Both women were arraigned in the Fayette County Magistrate Court. The 22-year-old was charged with the misdemeanor offense of joyriding. She was remanded to the Southern Regional Jail with a bond of $1,500. As for the 38-year-old homeowner, she was also remanded to the Southern Regional Jail in lieu of $10,000 bond.